Hello, and welcome to Diaphantine. This is Module 1, Unit 2, Value, Digits, and Numbers. So, as you can see, I have written out a brief definition of each of the concepts. So, value, digits, and number. And usually, when we talk about value, we're talking about the importance or worth of something. Now, these three things together are like the fundamental concept in mathematics, right? Without these three things and how they work together, we have nothing. We can't build on anything else. And I want to give you another definition, a kind of an informal definition, and that is it of axiom. So I'll make a new uh, text here, and I'll type this in. So an axiom is a fundamental concept. We'll talk about it in the context of mathematics. So in mathematics, right? So we'll leave this down here. So value, digits, and numbers are what we consider to be axioms. And they're very, very simple. And axiom has a more technical definition in mathematics that we'll get to maybe in further courses. But in arithmetic, you can think of it as a fundamental concept, something that we need, something that we assume to be true right out of the gate. We don't need to prove it to be true. It's something we take for granted almost. So value, digits, and numbers are three of those things, and they are the first thing we talk about in arithmetic. So value is the importance or worth of something. Digits, a symbol, which I've spelled incorrectly, there we go, used to represent. And number is the association of a digit with a value. So you probably have heard of numbers before. And if I write some numbers on the screen, like this number and this number and this number, let's just do those. You might think, oh yeah, that's one, that's two, and that's three, right? And you're right, it is one, two, and three. But what what are they? Are they numbers? Well, yeah, they're numbers, but like is the symbol that I draw on the screen, like this line here, is that a number? Well, no, that is a digit. Okay. If I if I put a ball on the screen, right? I drew a ball here, right? Uh, and I asked you how many balls are there? You would say there's one ball. Okay. But I thought the number one was this symbol here, right? This line. Well, no. The line we draw is the digit. It's the character that we use to describe it. And so I'm getting at a point here, which is maybe a little bit pedantic, right? You might not use it in real life. Certainly you won't use it every time you use numbers, but it's kind of what's going on behind the scenes when we use these things. If we say 1, 2, 3, and 4, in your head, you might think of these characters, right? You might think of the straight line, kind of the squiggly line, looks like a Z sometimes, and then this curvy line that we come to represent as 3. And we have English words for them, but really what they are is they are values represented with characters. So uh, if we have here, we've got one ball, we've got the character here that represents one, and it is in the singular, right? So let me make this more clear. So the value is one, and I'll represent the value with a thing, right? So we'll use balls. It sounds like good. The value is one. The character we use to represent it is this straight line, which we know. And then together, this is what we call the number one, right? So a value with the character, also we'll call this digit because that's what I've wrote over here for the definition. But the value combined with the character, also known as a digit, gives us the number one. And let's do one more just to drive it home. So here we can have another ball. and the character or the digit will be this one, and we call this 2, right? And so on and so on. Now, why this distinction? Well, because later on in future math courses, even in algebra, this becomes very important. We need to be able to understand that just because we make marks on a whiteboard or a blackboard or on a receipt somewhere, we're not actually the numbers or the marks we make on the screen or on the receipt or whatever don't actually hold any value, because value is an abstract notion, right? You can think about this in money, right? We print the number 1 on a dollar bill, right? And we exchange it as if it's worth anything, but it's not. It's the things that we want or we need. So if I give you $1 bill and you give me, I don't know, a cookie, right? What we want is the cookie and it's worth a certain value to us. And we're imbuing this piece of paper that has the number 1 printed on it with that value. So it's an abstract concept, and it can be a bit hard to wrap your brain around, especially at first, because we don't tend to think of these things very often. We just assume that a dollar bill has the value of 1, or that's 1 ball, or this symbol here is just 1. Something else I want to mention is that these characters that we use, there's only 10 of them in total. That's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. There's only characters. Now, when I was writing them out, I was saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on, but I was actually saying the number, right? I wasn't saying the digit. These don't really have a name. These are Arabic numbers, right? Or Arabic digits. These come from the Arabic character family. And the English language has adopted them for their number system. So these are all the characters. So in order to represent numbers in most ways in real life, you will see combinations. So to write the number 11, we take this character here and we just write it next to each other twice. And this signifies to us that this is the number 11. So 2 of these dashes, 2 of these digits together form, we give it a value of 11, and they form the number that we associate with 11. Similarly, we can take this number, which is 1,000 or 1,000, however you want to say it, and it's 4 digits. So there's a bunch of these zeros here, and a bunch of these ones here. And together, we give it a value, and it's known as the number 1,000. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a bit hard to wrap your head around, but really something to note is just that value combined with a digit, a mark on a piece of paper. So value in abstract notion, digit, a physical mark on a piece of paper or on a screen or wherever you're viewing it, is what is known as a number. And oftentimes we'll have a word associated, like the English word of 1 spelled O-N-E, or the number 2 spelled T-W-O. And this is a fundamental axiom in arithmetic and throughout the rest of mathematics. I'll leave you on a fun fact. These are Arabic digits, so there's 10 of them, and we can write all of our numbers with this. Later on in mathematics, you'll encounter Greek digits or Greek characters. I'll write them as characters. And they're used all the time. For example, this is pi, this is tau, there is alpha and beta and gamma and many more, right? We use these as variables, which you'll learn about at the end of this course and into Algebra 1, but just a little hint. We also, at the end of this course and in algebra, use English characters, letters. So characters, also known as letters. We give them a value as well. Sometimes it's an unknown value. So things like X, A, B, C, we associate them with a value as well. It's not just these 10 here, um, the Arabic digits. There are other characters out there, different marks on a piece of paper that we give. And that's something to really keep in mind as we move forward in this course is that, a lot of people say we stop using numbers and we start using letters. Like that's when math lost me. Well, you got to remember that it doesn't really matter what marks you make on a piece of paper because it's an abstract concept, this notion of value. We give these marks on the pieces of paper a value in our brains, and we all agree to the same value, and that's how we they have an intrinsic notion to them. So a hard lesson out of the gate to understand, but this is kind of something that we mention once here at the beginning so that you understand what's going on, and then we kind of let it. We'll mention it as we go through, but it's not something that you're going to have to constantly rehearse, but it's something you need to know. So I hope that was clear. I will see you in the next unit.